Hello again, friends. It's me, Mr. Prost, coming to you from sunny Santa Monica, California. And the purple shirt is back. Yeah, by popular demand, I have decided to keep wearing my purple shirt, even though my wife doesn't like it. You know what my wife does like, though? My wife likes trees. Do you like trees? I know I do. And we have been talking a lot about trees recently. We've been talking about the things that people get from trees. If you haven't already, I would encourage you to go ahead and watch the read-along video, Be a Friend to Trees. It's really interesting. There's a lot of cool tree facts, and also we talk about a lot of the stuff from inside this book. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you make some time to watch that read-along video. But we've been talking about the different things that we get from trees. Stuff like wood, right? Wood to build houses and build furniture and other things. We get sap from trees. Remember, sap is that sticky, gooey stuff that's inside of some trees. People will even take the sap of maple trees and use that to make maple syrup. We get other food from trees like fruit and nuts. We're going to be talking more about that in just a little bit. Some animals rely on trees for shelter. Trees actually help keep water in the ground. Well, why do we want to keep water in the ground? Well, because people can come by and dig a well and then pull that water up and then use that for drinking or watering gardens. So trees, very important, and they help keep big pools of water underground. Their roots act kind of like lids that keep the water from evaporating or running off. And also very importantly, we talked about that trees give us the air that we breathe, right? Trees suck up carbon dioxide, which is bad, and they let out oxygen, which is good. So they clean the air for us. The air that you're breathing right now, in part, came from a tree and other plants as well. But we're going to talk about the food that people get from trees. And there's a lot of different food that we get from trees. First, fruit. Excuse me. Fruit comes from trees. So kiwis, oranges, bananas, lemons, limes, apples, grapefruit, pineapples, avocados, coconuts. If you've ever had anything that had coconut in it, that coconut grew on a tree somewhere. Many different kinds of fruits. Also, strangely enough, cinnamon. Cinnamon comes from trees. Cinnamon is actually the bark of a very special kind of tree, which someone's peeled off and then ground up into dust. And then we use that cinnamon to make cinnamon rolls or churros or cinnamon toast crunch cereal. Lots of different stuff has cinnamon as an ingredient. Another thing that we get from trees are nuts. Anything that is a nut came from a tree. Cashews, walnuts. Oh my gosh, what are these things called? I forget. These are great. Jeepers, I can't remember the name of this nut, but they're good. All nuts, walnuts, almonds. Nutella comes from a tree. They're hazelnuts that someone's taken, and that's an ingredient in Nutella. Squirrels love those nuts. Interestingly enough, by the way, peanuts don't come from trees. And actually, technically, peanuts aren't even nuts. We call them peanuts, but they actually grow underground. There's a little bush where they grow, and they grow underground. So they're not technically nuts, but we call them nuts because they're hard and they come in little shells. But other nuts, actual real nuts, pistachios, that's what these things are. Those come from trees. Also, here's something that you might not think about. Chocolate actually comes from trees. This is a cacao fruit. This is what chocolate looks like when it's growing on a tree. It grows in there are these giant, they look like footballs, right? Like American footballs. These grow on a cacao tree. If you take one of these giant pods off the tree and you crack it open, it has these little beans inside, coca beans, and these are what get turned into chocolate. I've included a little slide right here. It's actually a link to a video that shows how they take these beans and then turn them into chocolate. It's kind of interesting. You can check that out on your own. But the point is, me friends, there are a lot of things that we eat which come from trees. And that is what our writing assignment this week is going to be. Your job, whoops, nope, I don't want to watch that video. Thank you very much for offering. Your job is going to be to draw and label a picture that shows something people eat that comes from trees. So you're going to think of what's one thing that people eat that comes from trees. You're going to draw a picture of it and then label that with words or add a sentence. Let me give you an example. Let me go over to my desktop camera, kablank, and kabingo. So I thought about apples, right? That was one of the first things I thought of. So I drew myself an apple tree, and I wrote, apples come from trees. Now, about what I wrote, I know that's not how you really spell apples, right? I'm a grown-up, I'm a teacher. I know that's not really how you spell apples, but it has all the sounds, right? Apples, apples. So if you're ever writing something and you don't know how to spell it, just write the sounds that you hear. You could also have just written an A for apples. That would be okay too. But try to spell. Try your best to listen to the sounds when you're writing and spell out those sounds that you hear. It's okay. You can also ask a grown-up at home for help or an older brother or sister. That's fine. But try to do as much of this as you can on your own. So again, your job today to think of something that comes from trees that we eat. Think of some food that comes from trees. Draw a picture of it, and then label it with words. Cool. Hey, you want to know a little secret? Not a real apple. That's actually a wooden apple. Yeah, not a real apple. It's like a decoration. It is made from wood, though. It does come from trees, but it's a wooden apple. Anyway, apples come from trees. I'm distracting you. So you know what to do. Your job is to think of something that comes from trees, to draw a picture of it, label it with words. Remember, when you're done, you're going to take a picture, click, of that with your phone, and you're going to send that to me or Miss Dano. All right. There you go. You know what to do. Time to get to it. Proft out.